Good afternoon, hello, and welcome to today's Power Boost. Being in charge or taking charge of my mind. This is something that is desired by all of us, right? So in the following, I would like to go into some aspects of the mind, and then we'll see where we go. The mind is actually a very fascinating, you can call it faculty. And with that, I also want to introduce that, and this is a little bit of a new or different concept compared to the general belief that the mind is part of the physical body. So from the perspective of the Brahma Kumaris, the mind is really part of consciousness, is part of a distinct entity than the body, the physical body. And the mind has many abilities, so we can look at it as a faculty. It has capacity, it has different abilities. But it is not, the mind is not who I am, and we will come back to that. So few characteristics of the mind are, one of the main ones is that mind keeps generating thoughts, it keeps thinking. And the mind is actually it is the mind which keeps the inner self, the subtle being, connected with the outer world. So basically, whatever I experience it in my own mind. Physically, I see things happen outside of me, in front of me. But the actual experience occurs at a much more subtle level within the mind, within my own consciousness. And typically, the mind is, as being part of consciousness, is typically, especially nowadays, the times we are living in now, constantly connected and engaging with the physical sense perception. So the mind is basically, in an average person, constantly feeding on the physical sense perception, sight, taste, smell, sound, touch. And these will trigger thoughts. So I see something and I start to think. So there's a trigger on the outside that is perceived to one or another, or maybe even multiple sense organs. There's a sense perception, and then some kind of memory, information stored within my own subconscious gets triggered. And so it starts to generate thoughts. And all those thoughts are generated by the mind. They show up in the mind. You can also look at the mind like it is a huge movie screen. There's a lot is happening on the movie screen, but there's actually no one there. These are light projections. So similarly, in the mind, thoughts, feelings, sensations, ideas start to manifest. So first information gets triggered deeper within the subconscious mind, and this information then starts to manifest at a subtle level in the mind in form of thoughts, feelings, and so on. And then we have another ability, another faculty, which is actually called the intellect. And it is the intellect that has the ability to observe, to understand information. And the intellect also holds all the powers of, for example, discernment, power to judge, the power to make decisions. All the reasoning is coming from the intellect. So the intellect, when I have understanding, spiritual understanding, I can look at the thoughts, the feelings, whatever is going on in the mind. I want to share an analogy, what is actually going on in the mind and how we experience things, which I took from a short video by Brother Ken, and you all can visit his, big production on the internet. He also has a channel called Live and Meditate. And so that analogy is of the ocean, the waves of the ocean. Nowadays, there are a lot of, turbulences in the air, creating a lot of movement in the water. And so the waves that come, these can be thoughts, storms in the mind. And so these waves come, then they crush. They keep coming and then crushing. There's a constant flow of water. And so these thoughts in the mind, they keep coming, and at times we all have experience of that. We get stuck on a certain thought, in a certain idea, in a certain sense perception, and then the mind keeps thinking about it in a very compulsive way. So, which becomes a very stressful experience eventually. The good news is that with the ability of the intellect, I can observe the mind. I can observe, I can become the observer of my own mind. It's like I'm sitting on the beach and I see these waves coming in and then crashing down, right? But there's actually an even better news. One is to observe what happens in the mind. But where the power comes in is that I can actually give direction to these thoughts, these feelings that show up in the mind. I must not be just the passive receiver, which the mind is by itself. So the mere fact that I can observe, and then I can change my thoughts. And this is really where our power lies. This allows us to face situations in life. It allows us to deal with the chaos that's going on in the world. And it allows us to do so in a way that we not only drowning in the negativity, but we actually, what is much more natural to all of us, and it was natural at one point in life, to have good wishes, to be a well-wisher, to have thoughts of benefit, good wishes, pure feelings, feelings of hope, thoughts of encouragement for those who are going through difficult times, challenging situations, or even for the self. I myself may have to face all sorts of situations in life, including things going on with the body. And this is, knowing the secret that I am not the body, I am a spiritual being. So deep within my consciousness, there's that true self, mind, intellect, and these subconscious impressions. They are part of me. They are my faculties, my abilities. I am not my mind. I am not the turbulences, the storms, the tornadoes that go on in my consciousness, in my mind, that I experience in my mind. No. This is something I experience because over time I have become the victim of my own weaknesses and, habits and tendencies that are not very beneficial. Out of ignorance, we have adopted those. So, but now knowing that the true self is a being of benevolence, is a being of peace, is a being of love. The true self is non-violent. And if I learn to uphold that vision for myself and I start to exercise, strengthen my inner muscles, start to use that deep, that potential of goodness that sits deep within my consciousness, then those muscles will become stronger and stronger, and I will be able to give comfort to myself at times of distress. I will be able to have a self-talk that is encouraging me to continue with my practice, that is encouraging me to look up instead of down, that's encouraging me to have self-respect, respect for who I am, value of who I am spiritually, not based on all the different physical identities, based on acquisitions, achievements, gender, color of the body, and so on and so forth. So let us now move into meditation. Sit comfortably, and I prepare myself for the next few moments to move from the more physical outer world in a world of subtlety. So first, let's do some mindfulness and become aware of your surrounding. Feel yourself being present, sitting in your chair or your couch or wherever you're sitting. And remind yourself that you are in a safe environment. And that you prepare yourself now to temporarily, with the help or the ability of our mind, to go above, beyond the physical world. For a few moments, I choose to shift, to bring the attention of my thoughts, the attention, my focus on a world of light. my inner world of light, which is totally distinct from the physical world. The world of light is very subtle. I connect and dive into it through my pure thoughts. Thoughts of goodness of the self and thoughts of goodness about others. I go deeper within. I go beyond my mind, intellect, and my subconscious impressions. These are part of me, of the subtle being. These are my abilities, my faculties. But deeper within, there's the inner self, the true self. The one that I am. At the core of my being, I have my innate qualities of peace, happiness, inner strength, joy, love. And tuning in the frequency of this pure energy at the core of my being. Space of innocence. I feel at home. I feel very calm. I feel safe, secure. I feel being myself. There's the experience of harmony within. I enjoy being myself. It is easy to be with myself. And naturally, I find there's an inner silence, an inner calm and stillness. I'm grounded in the present moment, in the awareness of being Om Shanti, a peaceful soul, a peaceful being. At times, when certain distracting thoughts come into my mind, I let them come, I let them go, There's no need to hold on to engage. I keep my focus on the truth that I am. I value that inner calm, inner stillness, that inner harmony. And as I keep practicing, returning back to this inner space of beauty and power, it will become easier and easier to experience it. And then, as I, the being, look through my eyes, I'm able to see beyond the superficial, the obvious, the bodies, the movements, and I'm able to connect even with others at a deeper level, at the level of truth. Because they too are spiritual beings. And at the core of their being, there lies their beauty. And the more we focus and redirect our thoughts to our inner self, it becomes a means of protection, a means of safety. I'm protected from all the storms and the earthquakes going on in my own mind. Instead of damaging the self, I keep myself safe. And after the storm has passed, I emerge undamaged, peaceful, with no bad impressions in my subconscious. Om Shanti.